Okay, welcome to some more fun with math. Here we're going to look at a couple examples of absolute value equations. So when we're talking about absolute value, we have to take the positive and negative into account. So when we're trying to solve, the easiest way to look at it is as follows, where we're looking at my junk inside the absolute value equals the positive or equals the negative. So, for example, if we want to know what x would be that gives you an absolute value of 9, based on the rule and the fact that absolute value washes away the positive and the negative, we know the result has to be both positive and negative 9. Okay? In other words, it doesn't matter what the sign is, when you go into the absolute value, you come out positive. When we're solving, we have to use that idea to solve, which means we have to be able to take both the positive and negative into an account when solving the problem. Okay. So I've got a couple examples that we're going to look at real quick. First and foremost, we have to follow our steps. Steps 1 says you have to isolate. Isolate is kind of like eating a candy bar. If you go to any vending machine and you get a candy bar out of that vending machine, it comes out and it's in a package. Well, I don't know about you, but I like to unwrap my candy bars before taking a bite. Isolating a variable and solving is essentially the same thing. We have to unwrap this absolute value by removing any values that are on the outside of it first. Then we can apply the absolute value rule, which says we can break it into the positive result and the negative result. So here the first thing that we need to do is we need to take and move this 5 over to the other side. Since it's positive, to move it says we have to subtract. In doing so, we end up with 2 absolute value of the 3x minus 1 is equal to 4. I still have this 2 on the outside, so now I have to divide the whole thing by 2. In doing so, I end up with the absolute value of 3x minus 1 is equal to 2. Now, in looking at my absolute value here, notice I don't have anything else on the outside, which means now I can apply the rule. And the rule says the junk inside, so 3x minus 1, can equal the positive or the 3x minus 1 can equal the negative. And you have to solve both. So again, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to move it across my equal sign. So this becomes 3x is equal to, because this is a negative, to move it says I have to add. So 2 plus 1 gives me 3. I have to divide everything by that 3 and I come out with x being 1. And then on the other side, again, I need to take this one and I need to move it. It's negative, so once again I have to add. So I get that 3x is equal to negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1. I need to divide everything by 3, so I end up with x is going to be negative 1/3. And then in this case, I've got my solutions. Now the last thing is what happens if I've been given 2 absolute values on either side of the equation. So the way this works is you're going to choose one of them to be the absolute value and choose the other to be the solution. So here maybe we'll call this first one your absolute value and the second one over here is going to be the solution. So what that means is that first I have nothing on the outside, so I'm good to go. The stuff inside my absolute value, so 3x plus 2, has to equal the positive of the stuff inside the others, so the 5x minus 8, Or my 3x plus 2 has to equal the negative of the 5x minus 8. And again, you have to solve them both. So in this first one, the positive goes through your parentheses. So this is going to be 3x plus 2 equals 5x minus 8. I want to keep my x's positive, so I'm going to move my 3, which means I have to move the 8. Since the 3 is positive, to move it says I have to subtract. Since the 8 is negative, to move it says I have to add. So 5 minus 3 is going to give me a 2x. 2 plus 8 gives me 10. I have to divide everything by 2, so I get that 5 is equal to x, and this would be the first result. Now in the other one, I have to take this negative and I have to distribute that through. So here, this is going to be my 3x plus 2. Distributing the negative gives me a negative 5x plus 8. Again, I want to keep things positive, so I'm going to take this 5x and I'm going to move it, which means I have to take the 2 and move it. Since the 5x was negative, to move it says I have to add. My 2 is positive, so this says I have to subtract. So here, 3 plus 5 is going to give me 8x. And here I'm going to have 8 minus 2. It's going to give me a 6. Divide everything by 8, and I'm going to get 6 over 8. But remember, we need to reduce. So here, we always want to reduce your answers. So in this case, what's in common between 6 and 8 is a 2. Divide that 2 out, and you are left with 3 over 4. So your second answer would then be 3 over 4. So in a nutshell, those are some examples dealing with how to work with absolute values. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, relax, smile, and I'll see you next time.